My name's Amanda Bird and I'm course leader for Level 1 and Level 2 Computing. Both those courses have games design in their course title because there's a games design element and a coding element in both those courses. Obviously at Level 1 it's fairly introductory, it'll be a little bit of Scratch, making a game in Scratch. But to be fair, the sky's the limit because there's a lot of good resources out there, a lot of help, so you can make a basic game or you can be very elaborate. You can have pages and pages of scripts. We tend to start with a very simple little script and then build on it from there. At Level 1 you also do a little bit of Visual Basic, which is a nice introduction. It's a graphical front end, so there's a form and you can make things like currency converter, so enter a value in pounds, look up the value of the pound against the dollar and it will tell you how many dollars you'll get for your pound or your £10 or your £50. We do programming as a standalone for 2 hours a week currently on Level 2, and what we do with that is I introduce the concepts first. Programming languages share a range of features. They use structures like if then and if then else. They use loops, they use modules, they use syntax. Does the line need a semicolon at the end of it or does it not? Does it use brackets? How is the spacing looking? What do you call things? What's a variable? And those things are common across a whole range of languages. Not necessarily all of them, because some languages work very differently. They sit in a different family. Now C# is, I think, an amazing language to learn because you can start very simple in Visual Studio and you can do just very simple text-based console apps that will get you through a good range of concepts, and then you can build on that. You can add modules. So how do we sort of divide code into smaller sections? And then when you've really got your head around that, what you can do is you can then develop that. You can say, well, how can I do a graphical front end? And in Visual Studio, in C#, you can do Windows Forms. And you say, okay, what else is out there? Well, you've got Windows Forms, so you're doing event-driven programming. Click the button, something happens. And then you can do object-oriented, so you can declare a class, and you can have default constructor methods, and you can do some quite sophisticated programming using the same environment and the same language. So C# is like a Swiss Army knife, it's multi-purpose. You can use it very simply, or you can have some very tricky gadgets there that do quite clever specialised things. So at Level 1 and Level 2 there is programming. In Level 1 it's built in, there's a specialist software unit as part of a big range of units. At Level 2 it's a separate little 2 hours a week which should get people from the absolute basics, I assume, no prior knowledge. All you really need to learn programming is a willingness to give it a go and just the ability to stick at it and tolerate frustration. Programming isn't about necessarily being clever, it's about being really good at the detail, really good at going, right, this doesn't work, why doesn't it work? And then just sitting and working through the possibilities until you get it to work. And then students say that's the best feeling in the world. When you get something to work that you've been battling with for 2 hours. Sometimes it's very simple, like you've got an extra bracket. Now Visual Studio is very good, it will give you lots of clues. But one of the things we say in Term 1 on Level 2 is remember, brackets are our mortal enemy. Brackets will trip you up, you've got one too many brackets, you've got one too few brackets, and the whole code stops working. And students say, well, why does it stop working? Because it uses brackets as a way of knowing what to do next, what goes with what bits are separated off. Am I at the end of the code? If you've got one too many brackets, it'll go, but am I at the end? If you've got one too few, it'll go, I'm not at the end, where's the rest of it? So brackets, we spend a lot of time battling with brackets, we really do. And that's true of a lot of languages, except Python, which uses spaces, which is infinitely worse. So my advice would be, if someone says to me, where shall I start? Both Visual Studio and C# They are available as a community edition. And to get started with programming, that's all you need. There are some lovely resources on W3C schools. They have, actually their resources are beautiful, because what they have is they have live code that you can tweak and then run without necessarily needing the full Visual Studio environment. You can just work on W3C schools, and that's lovely. I would advise people to maybe have a look at that. That's really good. Ultimately though, I think at some point, no matter how good you are, you need to be able to have somebody to just give you a hand. That's really the magic, is you need somebody to walk past your code and go, you've got an extra semicolon. If you have the most amazing idea for a game, then I would say do try and implement it so it's yours. Record the fact that it's yours, don't let anyone else have it, and then put it out there, see if people love it, and they might well do. But I think if you want a formal career, then probably you do need to go down the more academic route. Hull University take our students from level 3, they love our students, they get a fantastic grounding here, and our students have reported back that when they go to Hull University, or certainly other universities as well, other universities are available, but at Hull University, because they've got a background in programming, they don't need that kind of initial concepts thing, so they're slightly fast-tracked, they're moved over to a slightly more advanced group. So Hull University will take people on their year 1 with no programming background on a computer science degree, but you have that very intensive catch-up in year 1. Our students don't necessarily need that. They get moved over to, you've got the concepts, let's get you moving. And they come back and say, actually, the first year has been quite straightforward because we have those concepts, we've got the initial understanding. And then it rockets up quite dramatically, and they say, oh, then it gets hard. But that's how it works at Hull University. So students this year are looking at a range of university courses. Some of them would be looking perhaps to go into level 4 apprenticeships. Some of them will be looking at uni, some as far afield as Leeds for cyber security. That seems to be the next big thing coming up, is there are lots of jobs, not so much in gaming now. That industry in a sense has kind of become more mature, but cyber security is growing rapidly. So my students this year who are going on to uni in September, October, they're saying cybersecurity is the way to go, that's where the money is, that's where the jobs are. But there are still jobs in gaming, it's still very much a boom industry, and this year of lockdowns has been fabulous for the gaming industry. They've seen profits and players just expand tremendously. So wouldn't put anyone off a career in gaming, but don't think it's necessarily the magic bullet. It needs work and it needs commitment, but there is still room for the maverick, the left field, the unexpected success. And I would say to people, if you've got an idea, go with it. If you've got a really amazing idea for a game, go for it. Don't let anyone, spoil that idea. Take it on and do it, and celebrate your successes. Hull is very good, I think, for fostering that. I'm not from Hull, as you can tell probably by the accent, but it's a city that really should believe in itself far more than it does. And there is a definite kind of digital industry. We've got C4DI, beautiful building, amazing incubator hub for digital industries. If you're interested in that, drift down to C4DI and join. Just find out what they can do for you. They do pizza and development evenings, they do meetings, they do outreaches, they do all sorts of things. C4DI is a good place to be. Yeah, you'd want to talk to them definitely and see if there are any mentoring programs going, see what they've got to offer. I'd like to say one more thing, and that would be Girls Code 2. That would be my big thing, is that I meet a lot of women and girls who would love to get into it, but they're very, very much, I think, put off by experiences lower down in education, like at secondary level, what I would say to you is please don't be put off. If you're a girl who wants to code, go for it. Absolutely go for it. No matter, I know, no disrespect, but some blokes will tell you girls can't code, and I go, bet they can. And if you're interested in coding and you're a girl, follow that, absolutely follow that. Don't let anybody put you off, don't let anybody discourage you. You can do it just as well, if not better, than the bloke sitting next to you.
Yeah, my name is Russell Taylor and I'm studying Computer and Digital Technology, Level 3 BTEC. Just my own interest in computers throughout most of my life really, from literally playing with the Atari right up to like current technology now. And just liking it as much as a hobby, as an interest. It's never been a chore to learn about it really. Just realised I started fixing them for friends and family and stuff like that. And then looked at the possible jobs that you can get with it, and I just thought, even regardless of knowledge and experience, I ain't got that piece of paper to say, to prove I can do it, you know, the qualifications. So that's, thought, come and get that. Possibly into like consultancy with like advising hardware, computers for like organisations, whether it's be for security or just general upgrades of general up-to-date hardware, bringing up-to-date systems really. Stretched a little thin sometimes. I still have a full-time job. I work between 35 and 40 hours a week and can be at college 3 days a week. It gets a little hard, but then when you're at work and you realise it's not what you want to do, it some motivates you to crack on with your work really. Think hard about it really, yeah. Consider it, because if it's not what you want to be doing, it's wasted time really. You're wasting time you're gaining a lot of experience, and I can say I've definitely got that from working even in jobs I didn't enjoy, a lot of experience. But ultimately, if you don't enjoy it, you're just kind of wasting your time, I believe. I feel like that's what I've done, being in jobs, just thinking, oh well, it's a job, it pays, but I could have done this years ago, you know, been much further ahead on my path now, yeah, definitely. What I got always drummed into me was you need to get a trade behind you, be a joiner, be a plumber, be a brickie or something like that. That's basically always what I just thought. Might guarantee work, but you know, is that really what you want to spend 60 years of your life doing? You know, the majority of your life, there's more to it, isn't there, than spending your time doing jobs like that. But I can understand, yeah, it gives you almost a restriction as to don't reach too far. Don't reach beyond your means almost, you know what I mean? Think of one that's guaranteed to pay, not one that might be a gamble that might not. Yeah, I do enjoy it, absolutely. It's because it's just a topic that I've found myself naturally as a hobby and a natural interest, so I don't know, I don't really feel like learning. I'm just discussing with the classmates like I would with friends or even online about stuff that I'm interested in. It's not really like learning as such. Like traditionally, like I would have thought, first time I've been to college, done sports science, and again that was a bit different. But yeah, if you found out what you really like, it took me a long time. But yeah, it's just kind of becomes easy, really. Easy to learn, easy to take it all in.